So, why are we here today? I am here to talk about pitching yourself and why you should be thinking about pitching yourself, why pitching yourself is incredible. And it changed my life and my career. So, I'm really, really excited to talk about this today. So, to jump straight in, why should you be pitching yourself? And the simple answer is because you need to stop waiting for the work to come to you. Um, you need to go to the work. Too many people, me included, wait around for work to come to us when in fact the thing to do is to go straight to the work and not sit around and wait for it to come to us, because the truth is it won't. And I learned that a very hard way, and it also sort of hit me in a sort of quite incredible way. So I'm going to share with you, before we jump in properly, my sort of background into how I got started with pitching and how it happened. So backtracking about a year and a half ago, I shot my first wedding and I hated it. I really hated it. I came home feeling really depressed. I'd spent a year sort of marketing myself as a wedding photographer and I was miserable. I really didn't like it, didn't want to do it. So I felt crap and I was like, how am I going to make my career work from Cornwall as a photographer without it being weddings? I didn't want to be a wedding photographer. So up until that point, I thought that the only way that I was going to be able to be a photographer from where I live was to be a wedding photographer. That was the only sort of solution I saw. So of course, when I got back from this wedding and I was so miserable and so like worried, hi Claire, I didn't know what to do. So I kind of sat around and moped for about a week. And then one day I was sitting on my laptop wondering what I was going to do next. And I remembered that I had a contact for someone who worked for Jules, which is a sort of country clothing brand based in the UK. I'm actually wearing a Jules scarf right now. And the reason I had that contact was because about 6 months earlier, I had shared a photo of myself on Instagram wearing a hat. They'd liked the image, they wanted to reshare it. I got given an email address to someone at Jules, and I still had that email address. So it occurred to me that what if I sent the contact I had on the marketing team at Jules a short email with a sort of a simple pitch idea of what I could do for them. So that's exactly what I did. I found the name of the girl who I'd spoken to, wrote down an email, and literally, hi Catherine, literally just said something along the lines of, hey, I've had this idea, would love to shoot something specifically for you in Cornwall this summer. If you just send me a few things down to Cornwall, I will make these images for you and they could be yours. And I did that literally on a whim. I didn't really think about it too much. I kind of just clicked send and that was it, done. And I kid you not, within 10 minutes, I had a reply from the girl at Jules saying, sounds great, how do we do it? And that shocked me. Like, I remember I was talking to my best friend Anna on Facebook Messenger at the time, and I was like, holy crap, they just replied. And I did that shoot, and I did those images for them, and they did use them, and that was the start of a really good relationship between Jules and myself. But I didn't realize what I'd done. And it took me a little while to sort of figure out that pitching myself was the key. So I sort of sat back and analyzed what had happened and began to think about how I could do this more. And this is what I'm going to share with you today, is exactly how I pitch myself to brands and work with them. So step one, the very first thing you need to do is to know who you want to work with. So make a list. That's literally the simplest first step, is make a list. It can be in a notebook. It can be on like an Excel spreadsheet. I have mine on an Excel spreadsheet in my computer, and I have actually different ones for different types of genres. So I update it whenever I sort of discover a brand I want to work with, or I remember a brand that I love that I want to work with. I just jot it down and keep it there. And one thing I really encourage you to do is to dream big. Like, do not hold back from putting down your like names on your list. Put everything down. It doesn't matter if it's Gucci or Dolce & Gabbana. Just put it down and it's there. You don't have to act on it immediately. Just write down everyone you want to work with. The second step is finding the email addresses. And this is where you have to be a bit of a detective. And I've gotten very good at being a detective and finding people's email addresses. So you need to know the exact person that you want to speak to. With a small business, that's quite easy because it tends to be just one or two people and you can find their names on the website. If it's bigger brands like Jules or, I don't know, Roxy, any brand you want to work with, you need to get in touch with the person who's in charge of either the marketing or the PR or the photography assistant or anything like that. And you need to find that exact person, or as close as you can get to that exact person. So how do you do that? You go on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is literally like a minefield of contacts and it's golden. I use LinkedIn to find out everyone's names. And I'm not shy about figuring out. So one thing you can do is literally type a company name into LinkedIn. It will come up in the search bar. And then from that, you can literally see all the employees who have got a LinkedIn account, which most people do, of that company. And then I just scroll through and I find out who's on the marketing team or who's in the PR team. And I make a note of their name in my spreadsheet or on my notebook or wherever I'm working. I write down their name and what their job title is. They never display their email addresses on their profiles. So what you need to do is go on the brand's website, figure out what the sort of end of their email address is. So normally every brand will have an info@jules.com, whatever it is. That ending of that email address is going to be the ending for everyone at that company. And rule of thumb, pretty much every company in the world has either first name dot last name or first name last name or first name at the company. So once you know that formula, you can literally just take the person's name who you know works at the brand, put it into your email, and try the different variations until you get one that goes through. That is how I have contacted everyone. Everyone. And it works because it's so simple. That's how people make their email addresses. So once you know that, you can email anyone. You can email Anna Wintour if you want to. I wouldn't suggest doing that unless you're really know what you're doing though, because she'd be scary. So that is my biggest tip for finding emails, is just scour LinkedIn. Sort of another thing you can do is to start tagging brands on Instagram, because when you tag them, you get their attention, and if they see an image, they might, like Jules did, get in touch and say, can we reshare the image? And then you say, yes, please, can I have an email address so I can send it to you? And then you've got a contact at that brand. So that's something you can do. You can also, I'm going to jump onto the next point actually. Make sure your email that you send is very personalized. I have a template that's available for free on my website. If you sign up to my free resources page, you can get a copy of that free template, and it is like the template I use. But every time you send that email, you need to be adapting it to the person. So always have their name, the person who you're emailing, always use their name. Don't just put hello, nothing, because it's not personal enough. It needs to be hi, Mary, and then go into your thing. That's really important because it makes it feel personal. I'm so paranoid my power is going to go out. So I'm just rolling with it, okay? So far, so good. The second thing you need to include is why you love the brand. Sort of talk about why you connect with that brand, why you feel connected to it, because it just makes it feel more personal. And just know that people can smell an an email template from miles away. I get template emails all the time, and I know they're template emails because there's no personality in them. They're just sort of, hi, I love your work, and can we please add a link to your blog? Don't just adapt it. Use a template, but make it different every time. Personalize it to that person. That's really important. The next thing to do is offer them something that they cannot refuse. So the biggest pet peeve of myself and anyone else is when someone emails you and says, can you do this for me? Because the thing is, when someone asks you to do that something for them, you're like, well, why should I do that for you? Like, I don't know you. I have stuff to do myself. I have things I want. Why am I going to do this for you? So the really, really important thing to do is to offer them something of value. Offer them something that you can do for them that will help them along. Because the reality is we're all selfish human beings and we're all trying to get forward. And if there's an easy way for us to do that, we will take it. So when it comes to working with brands, the thing I realized was that these brands need more imagery than ever before. Between Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, websites, blogs, billboards, magazine ads, all these images, they need so much of it, more than ever before. So there is limitless opportunity for us at the moment to work with these brands. They need so much of it. So keep that in mind if you're ever feeling intimidated about the photography world. Like, people talk about how it's impossible to be a photographer these days. Couldn't be further from the truth. It is the best time to be a photographer these days. So the thing that I did that worked really well for me was I approached all the brands I wanted to work with and offered them photography. So I said, let me show you what I can do. I would love to show you by doing one photo shoot for free. If you send me the stuff here, I will shoot for you. You can have the images. You can do whatever you want with them. One off. Let me show you what I can do. And always made it very clear that it was a one-time opportunity. They have never turned that opportunity down, and every single time that has led to paid work. I can't guarantee that that will happen with everyone who does it, but with me so far it has worked. I have done a shoot for them for free, planned it on my own, paid for it on my own many times. Send them the images, they get to use them however they want. You start that relationship, you get that dialogue going, and then you go back and say, do you need anything else? Or they come to you and say, we need this at this time. And you've built that relationship. They know what you can do. They can see that you do amazing work. They see that your imagery is beautiful, that it's, attracting audiences, that they're getting engagement on their Instagram feeds, for example, through the images that you did. I, for a fact, have done a lot of images for one particular brand that has then gone on to be their best social media imagery. So they come back to me all the time because they're like, oh my God, whenever we post any of Olivia's photos, our likes go through the roof. So we definitely want to work with her more. And that happened through me giving them free images the first time. And they realized that my images were doing really well for them online. So they keep coming back for more because they love it. So think about what you can offer them. It could be a free shoot. It could be images you've already shot. So if you have a back catalog of work you've done for yourself, for example, and a brand is included in that, send them that shot. They might not reply. They might not use it. It might not suit their brand particularly, but you never know. I've done that a few times, and sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't, but that's worth trying. Go have a look what you've shot before. The problem with fashion also is that the collections go out of date and they're not relevant anymore, but I would just say, like, look, this is what I did last time. I would love to do it again for you. Like, send me something or something like that. You could also offer them, if you have like a big Instagram following or a big like Facebook page following, to mention them on your Facebook page or on your Instagram or on your newsletter, like kind of give an exchange. You always want to be thinking, how can I give them value? That is the most basic thing. If every time you send an email to someone, you just ask yourself quickly before you press send, how is this adding value to them? As long as you can answer that question, you're good. Um, and my next point is sort of mention to them why you feel like you're a good fit for them. That I think is really important. Otherwise, they might sit there and go, why are we meant, like, are we a good connection? Is there a good relationship here? Like, why are we suited to each other? So kind of be clear about why you think that you'll suit them as a creative. Um, and I've got some really quick and simple points here, but keep it short. Keep your emails short. People do not have time to read essays. Sometimes I get walls of text and I'm just like, oh, I don't have time. I'm too tired. I have other things to do. Don't want to read walls of text. From being an editor of Atlas for 5 years, I can tell you that if I ever got an email with a wall of text, it didn't get read. And I know Megan is the same. She doesn't read long emails. So don't send long emails. Keep them short, a couple lines, get to the point, done. Another thing, add direct links. So don't just sort of put your web address or your Instagram handle and not make it a clickable link, because they will not sort of copy paste into the browser, go and look for it. They want to be able to click it quickly. Anything that's easy, and like make it as simple as possible, basically, for them to see your work and engage with your work. Track everything you do on a spreadsheet. This is also really important. On my spreadsheet, where I have all the lists of all the brands I want to work with, I have a little tab that says emailed or like last contact, and I jot down the date of when I spoke to them. And I also put down whether they replied, did they not reply, what was said, because you don't realize how quickly time goes by. And sometimes I check my spreadsheet and I'm like, oh my God, it's been 3 months since I emailed that brand that I really want to work with. They replied and said, get back in touch. So I'm going to get back in touch now. So by keeping track of all that stuff, you make it much easier for you to sort of continue to build those contacts and that potentially that work. Follow up. Simple. If you send an email out and within a week you haven't heard back, send a follow-up email. That's really important. And if another week after that you still don't hear back, send a second follow-up email. People are busy. Emails get missed. People get a lot of emails. Sometimes I miss emails. So just don't be shy to say, hi, just following up quickly. Wanted to make sure you saw my last email. Let me know what you think. Best, Olivia. Done. It needs to be really short. And then the last thing I'm going to say about this is don't give up. It can feel really intimidating to pitch yourself, but it doesn't need to be, and you don't need to worry about it. So you might need to send out a lot of emails. You might not hear back from many of them. I send out a lot of emails that I never hear back from, but sometimes you hear back from like two, and they're really amazing brands that you really want to work with, and it gets so exciting. So just keep trying, keep emailing, keep going after it. Don't keep that list on your computer and keep going back to it. Do not give up on like trying, because I promise you it will be worth it. Okay, I sped through that a little bit because I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified I would do it and it would get cut off halfway through because my electricity went out. It literally went out 2 minutes before I was supposed to go live. So I was running around trying to get it back up, and I've turned off all the heating in case that's what's triggering it, because that's the only thing that's changed in the house today because I put the heating on. So, does anyone have any questions? I am gonna stick around for a few more minutes, and I'm here to see if anyone's got any questions. Thank you so much to everyone who's here. It's very exciting. I'm really excited about this group. It's something I thought about doing for a long time, and I was like, oh, do I do it? Do I not? Imposter syndrome kicking in a little bit, like, oh, who am I to make a Facebook group about fashion photography? But there's already over 50 of you in here, so that's really exciting for me to see that people are interested, and I'm hoping to make it a really engaging, exciting place to be. So I hope that you are enjoying being in it, and if you have any suggestions of anything that you would like me to do in here more often, if you'd like to see more webinars like this, more like lives, let me know. If any topics you want me to cover, I'm more than happy to cover anything. yeah. Anyone have any questions? I am an open book. You can literally ask me anything. There is nothing that I won't answer. I'm gonna give it one more minute. It's really weird when you're live. You gotta like talk and fill up time. And also the lighting in here is not good. I'm not representing my skills as a photographer very well in this light. Look at all these under eye bags I'm giving myself. That's fine. Okay. No one has any questions? That's okay. Hopefully that means I answered all of them during. But if you someone asked, oh my god, I didn't scroll down. Okay, questions. Megan asked me a question. Thank you for messaging me because I saw that on my phone and I didn't know I had to scroll down. Okay. Do I ever contact brands via Instagram DM? Sometimes, but very rarely. I find that it's difficult to get in touch with the right person, but it is a good way because in theory, the person who's in charge of a brand's Instagram is the person who's going to be on a marketing team. So if you're really struggling to find a contact through LinkedIn or any other way, sending them a little DM on Instagram and saying like, hey, could I get the contact of someone on the marketing team? That's never a bad thing to try. How many people do you tend to email before you get a yes? Doesn't really have a number. Sometimes it's like first email I send. Sometimes I'll send out 10 emails and never hear back from any of them. So it really varies. I'm just reading through all the comments. I didn't see these comments because my thing was frozen on the thing. Would you have a model friend set up in the wings maybe for if they do send you something? So yeah, I do have a few model friends that I have, but I tend to sort of pitch myself and then we plan something. So I'll offer them an idea and then we kind of plan something in more depth. So I will go back and I'll say, okay, this is my idea for the model. What do you think? And they'll sometimes say, okay, no, she's not on brand for us, or one of the brands I work with can't have any girls with tattoos. And two of the people I have as go-to models have too many tattoos. So it's things like that that you have to kind of pay attention to and keep in mind. Will I ever shoot weddings again? No. No more weddings. No, I've done my wedding stint and it was not for me. I had wonderful clients, but it wasn't creative enough for me and I need to make stuff, and weddings were just too documentary and actually like too long a day, too stressful, too high pressure, not for me. But I'm coming to your wedding, Megan, so it's fine. And I will take pictures for you if you want me to. If you are asked for your rates, do you send a branded price list or just write your rates in an email? I just send them my rates in an email. I don't have anything branded because my pricing is so simple that I don't need to. I literally have a half day rate and a full day rate, and that's it. So I just put down like literally my email. For half day, I'm this, and for a second day, I'm this. For full day, 2 days, whatever it is. So I just like keep it really simple. I find that as a general rule, people don't like to have to download something. The more easy you can make it for people to get your information, the better. So by putting your price just in the email from the get-go, like right there for them to see, speeds up the process for them, and people are busy. So that's my thought on that. But branded, beautiful packages are beautiful. I do have a media pack that I send out to brands when I'm pitching myself to them. That's actually a really important point that I didn't mention. I have made in Canva actually a basically a media pack. It's like a little mini portfolio, which I can upload in here actually for you guys to see, and I'll share that with you so you can see. And I have different ones for different targets, and it lists, it has a mini portfolio in there. It also has my stats of my website, a little bit about me, who I've worked for, a few testimonials, and then my contact information. I do not include pricing in this, and it's just so people can like have something really pretty they can look at. And I've had comments before of the fact that they liked seeing that pretty PDF. How do I decide my rates? That's a good question. Pricing is very difficult, and I actually I'm bringing on for you guys an amazing expert in money in 2 weeks' time. I am just planning that at the moment, but I'm not going to answer that question because I'm going to go into so much more detail about money and rates in about 2 weeks. So hopefully that will be helpful, because the topic of money and pricing and rates is something that I know is very hard for a lot of people, me included. I struggled with pricing for a long time, but to give you a really quick answer, it was a lot of trial and error. I started off with a price that was actually a little bit too high, and I brought it down for a few months. And actually that got the ball rolling for me. I got work booked at that price. And then once I felt like I'd done quite a few jobs and I was comfortable at that price, I've slowly been bringing it up. And now I'm at a point where every time I book a new job or I pitch for a new job or someone asks me what my rate is, I put it up by £50. And that's what I've been doing. Do you think it's a good idea to put your prices on your website? I have a starting price on my website, just to show like what my sort of starting price is, but I don't have my full pricing because, as I said, it's changing. And also, like, let's say hypothetically, I got asked by Dolce & Gabbana to shoot a campaign. I'm not going to charge them my day rate for someone that I would work with for in Cornwall, you know, like it would be a lot higher. So pricing for fashion photographers on their websites is so difficult because it shouldn't be just one set thing. So I would discourage it. You can have a starting price though, so people kind of get the idea. Because obviously, like if it says you start at £1,000, that small business owner who's only got £200 budget isn't going to email you and like waste their time or waste your time. Hope that makes sense. On prices, do you just base this on half-day cast rates? I've seen packages based on number of images. I currently base my pricing on my full day and half-day rate. This has been the system that's worked best for me, but it's up to you. That might change in the future. I don't know how things go. At the moment, I also don't charge for like licenses. I haven't got to a stage yet where I'm really licensing out my images for a period of time. I just include like this. I just say in my contracts that it's subject to a standard license, which basically means they can use it on their websites. No one's ever asked for billboards yet. So one day, but yeah. Let me see if there's anything else. Has anyone got any more questions now that I know that I have to scroll down to see them? See, first time, working out how to do it all. I know that retouchers tend to price on number of images. They tend to price through like how many images they're going to retouch. Do I always do a contract? Yes, always, every time. I'm very lucky. My dad is a lawyer, so he's helped me write my contract. I could try and find someone who could come on and talk to us about contracts, because I do think that contracts are quite tricky and quite scary. I know that I actually procrastinated for a long time on getting my contract done because I was like terrified of doing it, but now I have it in place, and I genuinely still get nervous to give it to people. I have actually had to turn down a few jobs because they didn't agree with my contract, and I felt fine walking away from that because sometimes one brand in particular was trying to be very manipulative and try to change the terms of my contract, and it felt dodgy. So I literally just walked away. I actually wrote a whole blog post about that incident. So if you want to go and read that, I think it was called What I Learned from Walking Away from a Big Job. That was the blog post. What are your hours for these? So yeah, my half day is 4 hours, my full day is 8. That's within reason. Basically, if it's anything over 4 hours, it's a full day, even if I only do 5. And if it's anything over 2 hours, it's a half day, whether or not I stay for full 4 hours or anything like that. That's how I do this. Who are some of my favorite photographers and bloggers? Oh my god. Megan is one of my favorite photographers. Guys, if you don't realize this already, we're like best friends. So that's why I'm being a bit gushy about her. And she just got engaged and I'm really excited. I am obsessed with Paolo Reversi. Oh my god, who else do I love? I really love Emily Soto still. Like, she kind of reignited my desire to shoot about 2.5 years ago, and I still love her work. And I really admire her as a sort of photographer and creative. I think she's doing amazing things. Patrick de Marchelier, I love. Peter Lindbergh is always going to be amazing. What's his name? Richard Avedon. Love Richard Avedon. But Paolo Reversi seems to always be my favorite that I go back to. Herb Ritts, I love some Herb Ritts. I love Helmut Newton, but I can find his stuff a little bit too sexual for me sometimes. That's kind of my list on the top of my head. Megan. Any more questions? Because we've already been, oh my god, it's been half an hour. My goodness. Bake Off has started, guys. I'm recording it, so it's fine. I'm gonna be here for a few more minutes. Let me know if you've got any more questions. Actually, can you tell me, would you like me to do this more often? If you would like me to do this more often, just say yes or give me a thumbs up or something, because I think it's been fun. I've enjoyed doing it, but I hope it's helpful. And if you could let me know maybe more topics you'd like me to cover, that would be really helpful. Thank you, Megan. I'm glad it's been helpful. I'm trying to help. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. That is really good. I'm getting good feedback, so that makes me happy. Yeah, let me know what you want me to do more of, even if it's in a private message on Instagram or a private message through Facebook or anything. Leave me a little message. And thank you guys for tuning into my first live on Facebook. I'm really excited to do this again. I'm gonna go now. Oh, how many fashion shoots do you try and book in a month? Oh, good question, Meg. I try to shoot something personal once or twice a month at least, something that I can either share on my own accounts or get featured on a magazine or in a publication or on a blog. I feel like it's really important to do that. However, if I have a really busy month, like if I've traveled a lot or if I've got a lot of client work and I can't squeeze it in, I don't kick myself. I just do what I can. And then some months I've got like a personal shoot every other day. Yeah, go through phases. So I hope that's helpful. Okay, I'm gonna go because I'm gonna watch Bake Off and then I'm gonna have some dinner because I still haven't eaten, and I'm gonna try and pray that my electricity doesn't go off again. I'm glad this was helpful, and I will see you next time. I'll let you know when I'm gonna do another one.